Hello, everyone.
Nuggets.
I see now. He wants to do spaghetti.
Uh,
I've heard of
Good
Dami. Dami
afternoon,
likes spaghetti.
everyone.
Madam,
This Dami, she likes spaghetti.
this one.
Mm.
This one we the sit down, we the press one.
Yeah, she likes spaghetti.
We change place over.
Good
Ah,
afternoon.
Dami.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think moderators are having a bit of hiccups. I guess we'll start soon. Um, I welcome everyone who has joined, and I look forward to us having a fruitful session together. This is my serious face, but if you saw the promo video that I made for this meeting, you see that there's an not so serious side of me, so to say. The chap called Kunle Olufofo. Um, I'm sure he's here with you listening. So just permit this my serious face. I don't intend to lecture you, but I look forward to us having a nice time together. Guess you can put comments, emojis in the chat box to show that we're here and ready to go. While give a minute or two for the moderators themselves to kickstart the meeting fully. I have to jump ahead and introduce myself. I am Dr. Ayodeji Bakari. I go by the alias Doki Onifere on social media platforms, also known as Kunle Olufofo. I'm a medical doctor, over 10 years in medical practice, and I'm a pediatrician. I'm a pediatrician in training, and one that's passionate about health information, passionate about ensuring that people have the right information to stay healthy. And the flip side for me as a doctor is that it makes my life easier, makes the lives of myself and my colleagues easier, um, so that we can deal more with the valid health issues and deal less with the misinformation and the problems that flow from such misinformation. So I look forward to us having a cool time. I hope the moderators are ready for me. Um, just give us a moment, please. We're in a blessed nation. Sometimes we have hiccups. So do bear with us, bear with the team for the hiccups.
Hello, everyone.
Dami, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our live session today, our live webinar today. Sorry, can you let me know if you're in? Kindly drop an emoji to let me know you are following or if you can hear me on the chat box. Kindly drop an emoji to signify your excitement to be here for this webinar. Hi, Grace. Thank you for joining. Hi, Oluwanifemi Baby. Thank you for joining. Hi, Kolawale Arowo Segbe. Thank you for joining. Hi, Sophia. Thank you for joining. Hi, Chiso. Hi, Shade. So, okay. Today's webinar is sponsored by Leadway Health. And on today's webinar, we're going to be having a guest speaker who is going to be talking to us about Ready, Set, Resume, how to build a healthy routine, resumption. So that's Ready, Set, Resume, building a healthy back to school routine for our children. So I'll kindly allow our guest speaker to introduce himself to us.
Okay, thank you, Dami. I did that earlier while you were trying to get in, but I'll just repeat myself for those who just joined. I am Dr. Bakari Ayodeji. Like I said, I go by the alias Dr. Uniferi across social media platforms, also known as Kunle Olufofo. I'm a medical doctor of over 10 years, and a pediatrician in training, and a health content creator. I'm passionate about education, health information, and along with the big wigs in the industry who have gone ahead of us, the likes of our Dr. Editing and the likes, we hope to change the views of the public about a lot of health information, so that we can be a healthier society and doctors can have it easier in their consulting rooms when dealing with the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Adeni Jolo Adatemilade, nutritionist, and I'm an aspiring pediatrician dietetics, a pediatrician, a pediatrics dietetics, dietitian. So on to our topic, ready, set, resume, building a healthy back to school routine. I'm very sure we know resumption is close by and we all have different emotions about how our children are resuming to school. Some might be happy, finally, these troublesome children are going. Some might be missing their children, the attention they were getting from their children. Others might just be indifferent. So kindly react, let me know your emotions to resumption. Are you happy that your children are finally going back to school? Are you a little sad or are you just indifferent? So, okay. We know that. We know that for resumption, there are different that we as parents had. Now, preparations for school will be buying school bags, be taking up socks, buying writing materials, reading materials for our kids. And we also know that it's very important to build up routines for back to school to make life easier for us. So, Dr. Ayodeji, how do you think, or what aspects do you think that we should base our routines on as parents?
Okay, thank you, Danny. May I ask with help to put up the slides? Just something to guide our conversation. Um, okay, yeah. So you can go to the next slide. So in response to your question, of course, the first slide, please. First slide. The next slide, please. No, the first slide. Okay. Yes, please. Okay, so let's get right into it. Okay, so it's a new session. We're preparing for the school children to go back to school. If you saw my response in the chat box, I'm excited that the children are going back to school. Of course, we enjoy having time with our kids when it's holiday season, but sometimes the enjoyment is, shall I say, short-lived. At some point, we need some breathing space, so to say. And then, so there could be some excitement that they're going back to school. So with a new session, what, maybe my first question to you as parents is, what have you made ready? You can see if you can see my slide, feel free to respond in the chat box and, tick the boxes, but we can talk about the things that I've listed there. It's a new session. So I guess basic things that apply to every term will be their school bags, right? Their lunch bags, lunch boxes, their school uniforms, school books, and the likes. But you can see that I put some question marks there. Maybe, like I said, please respond in the chat box. How many of these things have you gotten ready? School is resuming next week or the week after. You have all these things set as parents. But as touching the school bag, what should be in the child's school bag? It's an easy answer, right? There are books, textbooks, writing materials. But I added a question. Wait, how heavy should your children's school bag be? And this is very important. It's a very important question. It's a very important question that I think that parents should answer, because we have children who develop back pain from carrying very large bags with all their books, the textbooks, the notebooks are all packed in there. And I know for some schools, it may have to do with the demand of the schools, but I think a number of schools actually have some way to determine what books the child will need in school every day. And I think this is something that parents should look into. Avoid your children carrying very heavy bags to school, to and fro every day. They should only put in their bags just what they need, just what they need. The books they need for the day, the textbooks that can stay in school should stay in school. The ones that can stay at home should stay at home. What they need per day really is what they should carry in their bags, so that the bags are not so heavy and weigh on their back. And then how they carry their bags is also very important, okay? So you're carrying a bag that is slightly heavy. They usually have these backpacks. Most of them have these backpacks. And, the backpacks usually come with two hands. And then there are children who, for some reason, especially as they grow older into the adolescent ages, they have the tendency to just carry it holding one hand of the bag. And the flip side for that is that it weighs heavily on that side. And over time, they can develop what we call scoliosis, which has to do with a curvature of the spine from a persistent tilt to one side or the other. So the bag should be carried with both hands and should be firm. The bag shouldn't be hanging down behind them. It should be firmly tightened such that it's neat, and so it spreads the weight of the bag around the body. Let me take a pause. Dami,
Yeah, can you hear me?
yeah, should I carry on or yeah?
Oh, I wanted to chip in. I remember when I was in primary school, we had lots of subjects. I think it's that we do every day. So you carry your textbooks, you carry your notebooks. The bag became very heavy, and my mom was like, "Oh, I should carry my school bag and I should carry an extra bag to put all my books." But then I went to a boarding school in secondary school, so our books were always in class. You just come back, get it. It was easy. But then I support what you said about not carrying your school bag on one shoulder and making sure you balance out your school bags. Just take what you need. And if the books can be studied in school, yes, definitely they should be. So yes, you can carry on, please.
Okay, so about the lunch bags, lunch box, lunch bag. So I said content. Now this is a major, and I think there are a number of things to bear in mind here.
Sorry, good
Um,
afternoon. My hands, I've been chatting and my hand is up. I don't know whether anybody's taking notes. Nobody's taking out
okay,
of the chat. The slide can be seen, and I also raised my hand for some time now. Just,
so
I don't know. I've been chatting and I've been raising my
apologies for.
hand. Thank you.
Oh,
Is
I'm
there
so
anyone
sorry
else that
about that.
can't see
This
the
is a
slides
network
as well?
problem.
Is there anyone else who can't see the slides? I think it might be a network issue on your side, man. Okay. So, Maya, you can log out and log back in. Perhaps it will help. Okay, so about the lunch box, I said there are two concerns. The first concern is the economy. Okay, parents are somewhat limited by what they can afford, and that's something that we cannot throw out in the box. Not every parent is able to afford certain things. I'm glad that Dami is an aspiring pediatric nutritionist. I look forward to working with you. Okay, when you do,
No problem.
when you get to
Definitely we
that
should
point,
take cola.
because honestly, it's something that is important to look at. Basically, healthy meals. We talk about a balanced diet. We talk about reducing how much processed foods, pasta, noodles. You want to step down on those things. You want fruits, vegetables as much as possible to be part of your children's diet. Less of the snacks and the pastries. Yes, you can't totally throw those things out. They're children, but in moderation as much as possible. And then on their uniforms, of course, most children are going to have new uniforms for the new session. Question is, how many should they have? How often should you change them? I'll advise that our children can, especially those in the primary schools, secondary schools, can be very playful. They can get very sweaty. So you may want to change a uniform. If it's possible for them to have a change every day, that's the ideal, really. That's the ideal. Having one uniform, one throughout the week, or one for 2 or 3 days in the week. Practicality also comes into the picture, but you want to ensure that the uniforms, the underwear, are clean. The underwear, at least, those definitely have to be changed on a daily basis. And then the uniforms work within your means, but as much as possible, the uniform shouldn't be worn for more than 2 days in a row if you cannot afford to have the uniform change every day. And then I just mentioned school books and their care, by the way. People differ. Some people believe that if your books are not rough, you've not been reading them. If they are not all torn and tattered, you've not been reading them. I'm not sure I buy that philosophy. I think you can
I
actually
do
read
also
your
agree
books
with that too.
and keep. I think you can read your books and keep them neat. And I think children learn from what they see the parents do. So it's important how you train your children to ensure that they stay neat, they keep their books properly. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Ayodeji. So I'm very sure we parents have health concerns for our kids about resumption, infection with resumption, our children's health as they go to school. I'm very sure we have um, we have we are worried about how they will be hydrated, how their nutrition is going to take place, the mental awareness. So let's kindly talk about hydration, mental health for our children, the regular health checkups. So Dr. Adeji, let's talk about that. What do you suggest we do in terms of hydration for the children, in terms of regular checkup? I know for healthy snacks, it's healthier for parents to give their children vegetables and fruits as snacks. They can also have their normal snacks, but then they should incorporate vegetables such as carrots, cucumbers, and also fruits into their day-to-day meal, into their day-to-day nutrition. So you can give your insight on that too, sir.
Okay, so yes, basically, as you have said, like I said earlier, less of processed foods as much as possible. Fruits and vegetables should be a part of your children's diet. It should be planned in terms of snacks. Of course, if you go on Instagram, I'm sure you will see 1,000,001 videos of how you can make this, how you can make that. Question is how much time the parents have to actually get into the kitchen to prepare these healthy snacks, healthy meals, as the case may be. So it's something that each parent may need to individualize, but ensure that your children are getting adequate protein. When I grew up, growing up, I'm familiar with the fact that the daddy and the mommy get the bigger piece of meat and the children get the very small pieces of meat. It's somewhat cultural, and it's something that we may all need to work on, because the truth is that it's the children that actually need the bigger pieces of the meat and chicken and the egg and the likes. So that's something that we need to work on.
Okay. So infection, we know that school children are very prone to infections. They go to school, they come back home with cough, catarrh, come back with viral infections. So kindly let us know how we should go about that, how our parents should go about that.
Okay, so you will permit me to dwell a little bit here. Now, I asked here, what is it with this surge of infections when children resume school? I'm sure many of us, please feel free to respond in the chat box if you have experienced that when your children get back to school. You can do a thumbs up or something to confirm if you agree with me that when school children get back to school, there seems to be an increase in the frequency of them coming down with cough, catarrh, other infections. I'll appreciate your comments in the box to the affirmative or otherwise. So I'll explain from the medical point of view why this is the case. And I'll use an analogy that may help us understand well. Picture,
Sorry to interrupt.
I know some.
In case
Yeah,
parents have questions for us, just kindly drop it in the chat room. We'll attend to them later.
okay.
So you can go on.
All right, thank you. So picture, I know some of us, for the fairly elderly parents that are listening, you might be familiar with how things were when Nigeria initially gained independence, or you may have seen movies about police, earlier on, and you see this picture of policemen carrying these sticks that we may refer to as kondo in our part of the world, and you have them have these short knickers on, and those were the police officers we had way back then. And I believe there were two reasons for that. Things were still advancing. There was a limit to who and who could carry firearms, and firearms were not as advanced as you have it today. But if you compare the police then with the police now, take away any bias you have against the police, okay? I'm just talking about police generally, whether it's the police, whether it's the armed forces, okay? Picture how much advancement has happened over the years, okay? And that advancement is a product of basically our police getting more sophisticated, our armed forces getting more sophisticated to deal with more sophisticated enemies, whether they are internal or external enemies. So for children, particularly under the age of 5, they have an immune system that is still learning. The immune system is quite immature, is still learning. And they start out with those kind of police that just carry kondo. Okay? And then these police go out there, hoping to defend the body from any enemy that comes into the body. The challenge lies with the fact that kondo may not work very well when you are accosted by someone that is carrying a knife, right? Kondo may not work very well if you are accosted by someone who has a pistol. So generally, the body has to go through a learning process, okay? The body comes in contact with this germ. It sends out these immature soldiers, inexperienced, go and deal with this enemy. Sometimes the body's defense system wins. Sometimes they lose. Oftentimes, it's those times when they lose that you end up taking them to the hospital to be taken care of. Okay. So, but from every encounter that the body's defense system has with infections, the body learns a lesson. And from that lesson, the body starts to train a new set of soldiers that can deal with specific kind of enemies. This is the basis for what we call vaccination. The idea of vaccination is introduce a part of the germ, into the body to stimulate the body to build up soldiers against that kind of infection, so that when that infection comes in the future, the body already has prepared soldiers who know exactly how to deal with this. So this is one major issue you must bear in mind. Children, particularly under the age of 5, and as they are growing, they have an immune system that is learning. So it's inevitable that when they come in contact with germs, they will sometimes come down with infections. My senior colleague, Noisy Nigeria pediatrician, Dr. Rena, will often say that children are entitled to at least 8 episodes of respiratory tract infections a year. And that's just the facts. Now, when they get back to school, what happens? Mr. A is coming from his home where there are certain kind of germs that the body is familiar with and the body has known how to deal with. Child B is coming from another home with his own set of germs that child A's body is not familiar with. Then they come together and then they start to interact, they start to play together, and then there's an exchange of germs. And then the body has to, of the individual children, has to rise up to the occasion and fight the infection. So the reason why there's a surge of infections when children resume school is not necessarily about a school's failure to keep their children healthy. That may apply in certain respects. It may not necessarily be about the environment primarily. It has a lot to do with the fact that these children are coming from their respective locations with their own germs, permit me to put it that way, and then they exchange germs, and as a result, there will be a surge, especially in respiratory tract infections. So I hope that clears why it's a common occurrence. Yeah.
Yes, it does. So we see why children are so prone to infections and how different people can carry out different infections. Also, as adults, that's why it's very healthy for you to carry hand sanitizers around so as to sanitize your hands and not introduce germs into your body. In as much as adults can get infections and are prone to illnesses, also children are prone to that. So parents should take note of that. So concerning these illnesses, we know that there are different risk factors that can cause children taking up illnesses or infections from other places. We know that hygiene can take a part of it. The children's immune response can also play a part. So talking on hygiene, what do you encourage our parents to get for their children to have to school, take to school to keep themselves protected?
Okay, please could you go back to the previous slide? I'll respond to that with this. Just go back to the previous slide, please. The slide I just left.
Back to infection.
Okay, so I'll respond together in this. The next thing I said on that slide is, are there any tips to minimize occurrences of these infections? Well, hygiene comes first on the list, and it starts with simple things like cough etiquette. If you go on my social media pages, I did a song for children about cough etiquette. When you cough into your elbow. When you sneeze into your elbow. When you cough into your elbow. When you sneeze into your elbow, you will not spread germs to your friends. And the idea behind that cough etiquette is the fact that there is less contact with the elbow when children interact. They tend to interact more with their hands, okay? And when they cough or sneeze, if they do so into their palms, okay, they most likely would put whatever germs they're sneezing or coughing out on their hands, okay? Also, if they sneeze into their handkerchief, for example, the handkerchief becomes a medium that carries germs. So we discourage the use of handkerchiefs, coughing into or sneezing into handkerchiefs, okay? Because there is no way, and especially for a child who has a runny nose, having a handkerchief that they keep blowing into and keeping back in their pocket, all they are doing is just keeping those germs. So if at all you need to cough into something like a handkerchief, it will have to be into a disposable tissue, or wipe, as the case may be, that can be discarded immediately. And then coughing primarily should be done into the cleft of the elbow. Also, hand washing, you can't talk about that enough. I also did a song for children on, dirty hands are full of germs. I wash my hands every day. And that's a practice that parents need to inculcate in their children. It's not just the responsibility of the schools. If children wash their hands often enough after playing, before eating, after using the restroom, after handling any dirty objects, particularly toys that they would tend to, share and change, from hand to hand. Hand washing is another key thing that will be very helpful and useful. So in terms of carrying hand sanitizers, it could be helpful. It's a plus or minus. Hand washing is preferable. Hand washing with water and soap. But yes, parents could keep hand sanitizers in their children's bags. The flip side is this. Extremes of, I'm going to say this with caution, extremes of hygiene can also be a problem. What I mean is this. Your children actually need some exposure to germs for their immune system to grow. So being hysterical about hygiene can be a negative. This is the reason why, if you observe children from the slums, it's not that they don't take ill, but you look at children from the slums and it looks like they never fall ill, other than the fact that maybe they have skin issues and the likes. You tend to look at them and they're not the ones who are being taken to the hospital every now and then. It appears to be more of an issue with the children of the people from the average, middle income, and the high income earners. And this is because those children from the slums have a lot more exposure to germs than these children from well-to-do backgrounds, and for those children from the slums, it has given their immune system an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to develop, and be able to do a better job, fighting these infections. So hygiene is important, hand washing is important, using a hand sanitizer every now and then would be important, but ensure that you as a parent, you're not hysterical about it and you're not, training your children to also be hysterical about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We should also note that we should check on the mental health and the emotions of our children. Children act out, yes, but we know that there are underlying causes to this acting out that children do. So you should be patient with your children, learn to know what is wrong with them, learn to know what's going on, ask them questions, because when you ask them questions and you show sympathy towards them, they tend to listen to you more, answer you, and give you good feedback that you'll be able to use. Okay, on our routines, I know that for summer, children were allowed to play more, sleep more, wake up late, go out more. They might be watching TV. Their TV time increased for children that are allowed to watch TV all the time. No, sorry, for little time, their TV time would definitely have increased. So back to school routines. What should we build as parents? What should be our back to school routines now in terms of this aspect, in terms of their sleep, their playtime, and their screen time?
Okay, thank you, Dami. Yeah, so like you said, during the holidays, a lot of parents sacrifice routine. Um, Basically, the children wake up whenever they would like to wake up. They play the whole day. They watch TV the whole day and the likes. And it's important, at this point to, address this. Okay, so school is about to resume. I think it's a good time to start training your children to wake up early, because most times during school session, they need to be up early for school. So it's a good time to start reducing their sleep time. Routines are important for children. Routines are very important for children. And oh, sorry. Okay. Permit me, I got a message from someone. I don't know. I guess this will go to the moderators. Is that searching the links? I think those who registered must have gotten the link to the webinar sent to their emails. Is that the case? I think there are a number that people who are trying to join in that cannot find a means to join in. Someone just brought that to my attention. So I'll carry on while the organizers work on that. So like I said, I think it's about time to create routines for them. What time do they wake up? And how do they spend their day? Usually during the holiday season, we're not supposed to actually leave them without routines. The routine should only change from regular school routine to holiday routine. Children, their brains are hardwired to work with routines. If you do not allow them to work with routines, things basically go haywire and it becomes difficult for them to adjust. So it's time for them to start waking up early. So if you've been allowing them sleep till 9, 10, it's a good time to start adjusting the timing for them to ensure that they can wake up earlier. And then in terms of screen time, it's a time to step down. Generally, for children, especially children under the age of 6, let me start with children under the age of 3. We usually say little or no screen time at all, maximum an hour, and it should be purposeful, whether it's TV, whether it's mobile devices. For children that are approaching the age of 6, maybe 1 to 2 hours, and it should be purposeful. The reason is that these children need physical interaction to grow right. They need to interact with other children, interact with adults, rather than just interact with devices where they're just staring all day. And then there's also the issue of the effect of screens on their eyesight, so that's important. Of course, playtime is important also. Allow them play, but it should be streamlined. Now that school is about to resume, is a good time to start engaging them in a little bit of preschool work, maybe not necessarily full-fledged school work, but preschool work to start prepping them, to get back to school. And I think the changes should happen, right away, a week. To school, they should start waking. Hello, I think I got locked out.
Hello. Okay. We can hear you. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was done responding.
Hello, we can't hear you again.
Oh, he's not back now, sir. Okay, so we should know that we, as Dr. Ayadeji said, we should know that summer routine is not the same as school time routine. So we should encourage good routine in our children. Also, nutritional advice for children resuming back to school. We definitely know that our children need top nutrients in their body. They need proteins of high biological value because they are children and they are still growing and their cells need to develop more. They need vitamins and minerals that we can find in our fruits and vegetables. They also need energy. We know that school children are bound to play around. They tend to be very, very active, more active than adults. So they need enough energy to stay consistent as children. They also need to stay hydrated. Children sometimes don't like taking water. So as parents, we should encourage that habit of taking water, staying hydrated. So building awesome communication, back to our routine. Okay, sorry, we should kindly drop our questions if you have any question in the chat box. Also, using this time to chip in, Leadway Health offers various health covers. Leadway Health has health insurance. We have health insurance, and we also have different health plans that can help parents maneuver this and allow you plan your school children's resumption into place. So this will make it very effective and easier for you to get access to doctors, to medical help, to drugs every time you need it. So you can also register for your family, let your family be under your plan so everybody has access to good health care. Yes. And we've talked about hygiene. So I will talk more on hygiene. We know that as children are going back to school, children tend to use up their school bags. I know we've talked about hygiene before, but just to chip in, children tend to use their school bags. We should know that as parents, we should check the contents of our children's school bags. Let us know that it's hygienic. They are not keeping up things in there. So we know, Dr. Ayodeji, we can't stress more on communication, parents to children communication. We know that as parents, you should be talking to your children. Your children talking to you, your children telling you things as parents is of utmost respect because we know that children tend to not talk about things that they are going through, be it adults, younger children, toddlers, and preschool children, and the other ones in the primary section might still be talking. But we know that teenagers, they are bound to keep things to themselves. So encouraging good communication, healthy communication between parents and children. How should we go about this? How should parents go about this? Talking to their children, getting information from their children. There are some children that might be sick. They will not tell their parents until it's the last stage when they are already maybe it's showing badly. Some are falling down, some are fainting. So how should parents negotiate or go about this?
Okay, thank you, Daniel. So very important is the child's mental well-being, and that depends a lot on the environment, the parents, the school. Okay, it's very, very important. And where the challenge is here is parents firstly need to be exemplary, need to be available to their children and need to be exemplary. If all parents do is back instructions at their children, shout at them when they get things wrong, the tendency is that the child will grow up to one, be somewhat timid, or the flip side is that they could grow up to be somewhat rebellious. Also is the fact that they will tend to hide things more and talk less to parents that are, you know, hello?
Yes, I definitely know. Yes. Can you? I definitely know as an adult that if my parents were not listening to me when I was younger, yes, we can. If my parents were not listening to me when I was younger, I would definitely not want to tell them things and I would be very secretive, but thank God they were not like that. So it's very important for us parents to be in communication with our children. We should learn to listen to them more before we jump into conclusion about things. We should listen to them, think about it, and move on. That way your child is happy, or your child will think about you in every situation that happens. They think to tell you things first before they go to their next line of action. So Dr. Ayodeji, can you continue on what you were saying, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Thank you very much. So I was saying that parents need to be exemplary, and then having a good relationship at home. When children live in a troubled home where the parents are always at loggerheads, someone is shouting at the other person, it's often not healthy for the children. So it's important to have a healthy environment mentally. Parents have a good relationship. Parents relate well with the children. Scold them where you need to scold them, and then draw them close, ensure that they are able to speak freely with you. And this is more important, especially as they grow older to become teenagers. It's important that parents need to be, and children can communicate with their parents. They should be able to recognize when their parents may be unhappy with them, but not be scared of the consequences. That, okay, well, I know mommy is not going to be happy to hear me say this, but I also know that it's the safe thing for me to tell mommy and daddy about it. It's very important to create a healthy environment for your children to communicate with you on several grounds. Peer pressure is there. Things are not as easy, so to say, as it used to be years ago in terms of parentage. The whole community was involved in parenting, but now schools are threatened not to discipline children. Parents do not allow neighbors and other people to discipline their children. There's the social media. There's all sorts of influence. So parents must, create a healthy environment for children to communicate, and you must be observant. Otherwise, you will miss subtle clues when things are going wrong. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. So we would like to go to the question sections next, the questions in our chat room. And also, we have any more, things on our health plan, you can reach out to us on our social media platforms. We'll definitely answer you and give you more things to talk about. We would answer you and respond to all your questions. So someone asked, for kids in boarding school, how will the HMO plan fit into this? It depends on where the children in the school of the children are. We have various health institutes. Okay, sorry. You can reach out to us on social media platforms and we'll give you more feedback on this. How can I encourage my child to eat a variety of food? Children are natural pickers. They are very picky eaters. So you can encourage your child to eat more by introducing variety. Children love colorful foods. So you should make the plate of a child colorful and pleasing to the eye, and then they will definitely eat what you have on your plate. And if your children don't like vegetables, you can put them into food. You can blend them as purees, use it to cook the food, or you can dice them up into smaller pieces that the child it will not be so noticeable that they'll be picking it out and they'll be able to eat it together. Mm. Sorry.
Dami, while we're waiting for questions, permit me to speak to something. We've talked about the fact that children's immune systems are learning, and I must say that one of the mistakes that a lot of parents make during school session is to abuse antibiotics. There's always this quick rush to get antibiotics for their children when they take ill, when they have cough, catarrh, or fever. I always say this. First and foremost is that a lot of these episodes of cough and catarrh may be due to viral causes, may not require antibiotic use. Antibiotics are used to deal with bacterial infections. And the more we abuse antibiotics, the more we make our antibiotics useless. Basically, it's happened to antibiotics, it has happened to antimalarials, it's basically happening to a lot of group of drugs that are abused by the public. Just walking into a pharmacy and buying a drug is not something that is ideal. Also, when a child has a fever, I always say that fever is a smoke. When you see a smoke, what you do naturally is to look for the source of the smoke and deal with the fire. If you deal with the fire, then the smoke will go away. So if your child is having a fever and all you do, for example, is give paracetamol, what you are doing is you are attempting to blow the smoke away without taking care of the real issue, which is the fire. Now, taking care of the real issue, which is the fire, is not something you should do all by yourself. Not every cough and catarrh needs an antibiotic. Not every fever needs an antibiotic. Get to the hospital, have your child checked out, and then the doctor can decide. And if the doctor says no treatment needed, yeah, especially pediatricians, sometimes we can see a child and choose not to give anything other than multivitamins. And the parent is all worried, but this child nose is running, but this is happening, that is happening. Well, the truth is this: it's not in every situation that we give antibiotics or antimalarials and the like. So I strongly want to discourage that. And then that's why it's important to get health insurance. Paying out of pocket for health is never an easy option for the most people. So health insurance helps for your child to be able to have easy and ready access to the hospital when necessary. Thank you. Yeah, Damia, any other question to be addressed? Okay, someone in the chat box said, what about free vitamins for children? Can we give them even though they try to eat healthy? Well, about multivitamins do not do any harm. They can only do good. So while there are several formulations out there, several formulations of multivitamins out there, if there's any that you can afford, just ensure that it is safe. It's approved. Well, I would say NAFDAC approved, but unfortunately, we have a lot of drugs out there also that are supposedly NAFDAC approved that probably should not be on the shelf. So just ensure that if you choose multivitamins, the multivitamins should not take the place of a healthy diet. The multivitamins should rather aid a healthy diet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For the person that asked for the question about the boarding school, you can drop your email address in the chat box and we'll reach out to you and tell you more about that. Also, someone asked that sorry, what can I do to help my child sleep better?
Okay.
Nutrition wise. Nutrition wise, I feel it's better for you to look at the time you are giving your child food. So there is a thing here that we all do. We eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner as people. But then look at the time you are giving your child the food. When you eat, you tend to relax and your food needs to go out fast. Your food needs to digest and go out. And if you are eating late at night, you tend to see that you eat later. When you eat later, you wait for your food to digest your food properly, or you wait for the food to go down in your stomach before you go to sleep. So you can change the time frame at which the child eats. Let the child eat early, maybe 6, 7, so they will be able to take out the energy in their body. Also, let the child have a refreshing bath before sleep, so they'll be able to sleep. Dr. Ayodeji, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'll just add to that. in this day and age, a major issue is the screens. Okay, yeah, very important is what Dami said earlier about sleeping, taking their meals. At least the dinner should be at least 2 hours thereabouts before the child goes to bed. So you want to ensure that your children have dinner latest at 7 p.m. as much as is possible. But very important is the screens, okay? Now children have phones, tablets, they're always staring into them. It's important that if your child is going to get good sleep, your child disengages from all such screens and activities no less than an hour to 2 hours before sleep. And then turning off the lights in the room, making the room cozy, things that can be helpful. But you want to ensure that you minimize, activity. So meals, the last meal and fluids should be taken like 2 hours before bed. There should be no screens, around that time, such that they can settle in, and go to bed. And of course, as much as possible, the parents can be available, to help their children go to sleep. I mean, be with your child and, talk them to sleep, or, sing them to sleep if you are the singing type. Those are things that can help them.
Thank you, Dr. Ayodeji. But the person that asked if we has meal plans that parents can use to guide their children's nutrition, we'll look into it and get back to you on that. Also, it is good to give your children vitamin C from time to time as it helps boost their immunity. Closing up on this session, thank you, Dr. Ayodeji, for sharing your insights with us. Thank you, everyone, for joining our webinar. We can't do this without you, definitely. And this session has been fun and exciting. Thank you so much. We appreciate everybody for joining the live. We hope we had a good time rather, and we look forward to having more frequent sessions with you. So thank you everybody for joining us. If you have more questions and information, you can send them to us at www.leadwayhealth.com or send a DM to us on social media, and we'll get back to you on that. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Do have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day.
you so much.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everybody.
Request.
Bye bye.